20 years ago, there's a famous model from somebody called William Bridges. And this is one that has stood the test of time. Because people are still using it, people are still doing research on it and saying, actually, this is rather effective. There is a real difference here where he makes a distinction between change and transition. What do I mean by that? It's like change can happen. Yeah, very all of a sudden can happen to me. It's kind of external. Transition is what's between my ears. Transition will take a little bit longer. It's a psychological process of how we adapt to changes. And say, for instance, which I have in previous organizations, I've gone through a merger. Yeah, the merger and the period of the merger in that organization was relatively quick, really externally orientated. And we had communication before, we had communication after, etc. But I was also thinking in my mind, oh, what does this actually mean? What does it mean to my travel, to my office? What does it mean to my teams? What does it mean to where I sit in the organization? And all kinds of things were lingering in my mind, and I was longing for my old organization, and I was trying to find the opportunity to the new organization. And the period going through the transition has taken months, while the official kind of merger happened in a few days. People came into the office and etc. Now, in a similar way, you can look at complexity that is involved is a lot harder. Between our ears, the complexity of a change, we go through a lot and it's quite individual, while actually a change that is external seems to be much more simple. Now, what does William Bridges say? William Bridges says the following: you need to be conscious of an endings, the neutral zone, and the new beginnings. What does it mean? It means that you might go through some kind of form of ending of that phase. You then go into transition period that is really uncomfortable, and then you start in new beginnings. What he's not saying is that this is a linear process. So on any moment in time, any period of any day, you can think longingly back to, and you're kind of still dealing with the endings. You might be in the uncertainty, and you might be in the new beginnings exploring it. So what do you do with those endings? How do you say goodbye? How do you still talk with respect about the past and recognize that? How do you do your actions in the neutral zone? How can you be okay with that uncertainty? So that is an element of change as well, that at a certain point, part of the change that we are facing, the new beginning, that don't actually know what we're getting ourselves into anymore. We can't easily plan it out anymore. We couldn't have predicted right at the beginning that, how it operated. Some people were alone in a room, some people were, that's all part of the change process. And you threw yourself into it. And you didn't necessarily know where the outcome would end. You didn't necessarily know that you were sitting with your glasses on your head and doing all these things. Yeah. So it's unpredictable, but it's kind of going with it. Difference between participation, consultation, information. Information, start at the bottom, is about the non-negotiables. Then you have an element of consultation. What does it mean? Is that others, usually higher up, might say, here I've got an idea, but I would like to get your opinion on it. And that those opinions, that consultation is honestly done. And then the last category is participation. It's essentially saying, with these non-negotiables, with these other things, it's up to you to decide, your team to decide, or you as an individual to decide on what to do on this. The main thing that people really appreciate around change and make changes very quickly as teams, whole organizations, as individuals, is when they participate more into that change and they have agency. They are able to know what are the boundaries, but within those boundaries know what the agency is, and exploring it and making the best out of that and making even better than the past, or what the opportunities are there ahead of them.